Okay. So we have done the attitudes, and yesterday we have completed the features or the characteristics of attitude. Right. Now, new topic is there. What is attitude formation? Simply a question arises that how these attitudes are formed into our mind. What is the basis of the formation of all attitudes, be it related to any kind of topic, be it related to any person, be it related to any situation. So how these attitudes are formed? First of all, just be clear that whenever we have certain attitudes regarding any topic, regarding any person, there is some interaction. Maybe that interaction could be direct, maybe that interaction could be indirect, but yes, there is some kind of interaction. There's some kind of our own experiences with that topic, right? So attitudes are learned. What is important about it? That always attitudes are learned. How come? Through one's own experiences and through interaction with others. So whenever we think that how these attitudes are formed, so basically all these attitudes are learned. Now, certain research studies have shown that some sort of inborn aspect of attitudes are also there, but such genetic factors influence attitudes only indirectly along with learning. Now, certain evidences we have through certain researches, the researchers have concluded that there is also a slight inborn aspect also of attitude, which is hereditary in nature, right? Which we are carrying it from our parents through genes. But this is a very, first of all, little bit, a very little portion. And secondly, also that little portion is also associated with learning, and it is kind of indirect. So basically, we can say with great confidence that attitudes are mostly learned, right? These are not hereditary in nature. So this is a small brief introduction about attitude formation. Fine. You will not directly start giving the various kind of process, but just give a brief introduction that how attitudes are formed, because these are learned first of all through our interaction with others or through our own experiences. And then we'll also write that yes, there are certain researchers have concluded that there is an inborn, there is a hereditary part also plays an important role, but that is indirect and it is associated along with learning. So learning is the most important factor in attitudes. Fine. Now let us come upon the process of attitude formation. There is a process of forming certain attitudes. To cover up them, let us start with the first one, learning attitudes by association. In this, how come we are learning the attitudes? By associating it with someone. They have given a very nice example. Suppose you develop a liking for a particular subject because of the teacher. Suppose you are not good in a particular subject, or you don't like that subject, you don't prefer that subject too much, but what happened all of a sudden, certain teacher is there and you start relating yourself a lot with that teacher. You start creating a very emotional kind of relationship also. You start taking him or her as your role model. So what happened eventually, what it will result, you will start developing the liking for the subject which he or she is teaching. So how you have formed a positive attitude toward that subject? By associating that subject teacher with the subject, right? So gradually you start liking also, and you start scoring well also, because you start taking interest. Fine. Some other example you can give, just find it from your daily life, just observe the surroundings. There are a lot of examples which you can give in tomorrow's class, or in the Monday's class. On the Monday, I'm going to ask you about the general examples related to this learning attitude by association. One example we have discussed, right? Now please come up with your own example, because there are lot of examples present in our surroundings. So we're going to discuss it on Monday. Fine. So this is the homework for you. First process we have discussed, learning attitudes by association. Now what is the second? Learning attitudes by being rewarded or punished. Now two things are there. We are learning attitudes, either we got punishment for it or we got some reward for it. For example, if a teenager does yogasans regularly and gets the honor of being Miss Good Health in her school, she may develop a positive attitude towards yoga and health in general. Very nice. See, suppose a teenager girl who otherwise doesn't, prefer to do much exercise, doesn't do any yoga, but she has learned some asanas and she has performed this in her school. And she also participated in any of the competition or in any of activity. And she got the tag, she got the honor of Miss Good Health in her school. So that reward, that appreciation, motivated, encouraged her to be, more indulged into this activity. She now started taking interest in learning now more asanas. She started learning the literature related to yoga. And now she has developed a very positive attitude towards yoga and health. Fine. Similarly, if a child constantly falls ill because she or he eats junk food instead of proper meals, then the child is likely to develop a negative attitude towards junk food and also a positive attitude towards eating healthy food. Now, we have taken this another example, which is offering or which is giving punishment in indirect way. Suppose a child loves eating junk food. Earlier, he has a very positive attitude towards junk food. But gradually, he starts realizing that whenever he consumes such food, he usually get ill, right? There could be stomach ache or he has to visit to the doctor. So he has realized that this junk food is harming his health somewhere. So he developed a negative attitude now towards the junk food and a positive attitude toward the nutritional diet, which is providing him the health also and the comfort also, right? So this is a kind of punishment which he has suffered indirectly, and now he got this lesson that junk food is not good for health, whereas a nutritional diet is preferable, right? So this was learning attitudes by being rewarded or punished. Now what next? Learning attitudes through modeling. Very simple. We have done this concept a lot of time. Modeling, wherever we are imitating someone, where we are observing someone, where we are copying someone, right? And we have, in certain cases, role models also. Often it is not through association or through reward and punishment that we learn attitudes. They are saying the two processes just now we have discussed, but they are saying that often it does not happen that we form attitudes because of association or because of reward or punishment. Now, to what? Instead, we learn them by observing others being rewarded or punished for expressing thoughts or showing behavior of a particular kind towards the attitude object. Now, what is happening? What they are trying to say that whenever we just, observe others, if someone has done a particular behavior and for that behavior he got punished, right? For that behavior he got punishment. So what we will do? We will also not repeat that behavior in future, because we know that the punishment is the consequence. Fine. You remember that Bobo doll experiment in 11th class? In that also, children were showed a particular movie in which, certain children were playing with that doll or snatching her hand and doing a lot of, activities with that doll. So when they observed that those children were punished. So that group of children hasn't repeated that thing, because they know if we will going to do these activities with the doll, we will also get the punishment. So in the same manner, if we are observing someone and we find that the person has got punishment, so we will not going to repeat it. And in the same manner, if we have find that yes, the person has got reward, he has been appreciated by the authorities for doing a particular behavior, so you will also motivated or encouraged to repeat the same behavior, right? So this is just by observation, learning attitudes through modeling or observing others. For example, children may form a respectful attitude towards elders by observing that their parents show respect for elders and are appreciated for it. Very nice example we can see in our house, right? At our home, we usually see these things, that if parents are respecting their elders, children automatically develop this kind of value inside them. There is no need to teach them, right? They are just observing. They find that yes, if they are touching feet of their parents are touching feet of their elders, they are getting blessings. Their grandparents become very happy. So we will also start doing this, because they will become happy and they will also give us blessings or some reward. So this is a behavior they have just learned by observing. There is no need to teach them or no need to instruct them, right? What is next? Learning attitudes through group or cultural norms. Okay, fine. If we are a part of any group, right, or if we are part of any culture, there are certain norms, there are certain rules and regulations, and norms are generally unwritten rules about behavior that everyone is supposed to show under specific circumstances. If we take the example of school, right, this is also a kind of group. So here you know that there are certain rules and regulations which you have to follow. And there is no one, nobody tells you every day to do those things. You yourself know that these things are acceptable, these things are socially approved, and these are the norms of my school, so I have to follow them. So we are learning attitudes just by associating with any kind of group or any kind of cultural association, right? Learning attitudes through group or cultural norms may actually be an example of all three forms of learning described above. What all three kinds? Learning by association, learning by getting reward or punishment, and third one, learning by just observing or imitating anyone else, right, through modeling. So these all three forms are behavior, all three forms of learning are, you can just see in any kind of group or cultural norms. For example, offering money, sweets, fruit, and flowers in a place of worship is a normative behavior in some religions. We all have seen this, that in temples, at various places of worship, we offer certain things to God and goddesses. And this is a very general, or you can say normative behavior, which is practiced at many places. So we simply have observed them right from our childhood, and in the same manner, we also do the things. When individuals see that such behavior is shown by others, is expected and socially approved, they may ultimately develop a positive attitude towards such behavior and the associating feelings of devotion. So gradually, they also start developing a positive attitude, first of all, toward that behavior, and they also start developing the devotion also. They start feeling they start associating the feelings of devotion for the God. So these two things going hand in hand simultaneously. They are performing also, and they are developing the feelings of devotion and positive attitude toward that particular behavior. Which behavior? The behavior of worshiping, right? The last process is learning through exposure to information. This is very simple. We can also use the word media. Media influences is there, or anything, the literature or the social context. So we are exposing to certain kind of information through many sources nowadays. Nowadays, we have a great social media, various sources are there, right? So we are exposing to different kind of knowledge, information throughout the world. We can associate with different kind of cultures. This contact is not direct. This is indirect, but still we are able to get the knowledge and the required information. They have given the example just by reading the biographies of certain people, an individual may develop a positive attitude towards hard work and other aspects as a means of achieving success in life. If we talk about the literature you're going to read, you people read nowadays, so you are reading certain autobiographies or biographies of certain celebrities. So what kind of behavior you start developing, or what kind of attitude you start developing? A positive attitude. You start learning good things from them. You start getting good lessons from their own experiences. You start giving values to certain things like success and hard work in your life after going through all these kind of literature. So this is what learning through exposure to information. Now this is all about the process. Now let us also start doing the next topic, factors that influence attitude formation. Now there are certain factors which are influencing the formation of attitude in many ways. What are those factors? Let us take the first one, family and school environment. These are very simple, but still we have to discuss. Family and school environment, particularly in the early years of life, parents and other family members play a significant role in shaping attitude formation. All agree with this? In the formative years, in the early years, who play a very important role in your life? Parents and your family members, right? But later, as you start growing, the school environment becomes an important background for attitude formation. Now, when you have joined the school, that school environment has started playing a very important role in your personality, in your behavior, in the formation of attitudes, obviously. Learning of attitudes within the family and school usually takes place by what? Association, as just we now discussed in the process. How we are learning the attitudes? Through association, through rewards and punishment, and through modeling. So we have used the processes also. Whenever we are learning anything, all these things are, or all these attitudes are forming on the basis of what? On the basis of association, on the basis of exposure to information, on the basis of rewards and punishment, on the basis of modeling or observing others, right? So this was the first factor, family and school environment. What is the next? Reference groups. Now, what are these reference groups? Reference groups indicate to an individual the norms regarding acceptable behavior and ways of thinking. See, particularly if I talk about adolescents, about teenagers, you all people are a part of any group, right? You all are a part of certain group in your school or anywhere in your social surroundings. And what you people are learning, you are learning a lot of things from that group, right? That could be positive attitudes also, that could be negative attitudes also, that is good behavior also, bad behavior also. And suppose in your group, let us take an example, certain discussions goes on certain topics. Those topics could be political, religious, or anything. So there are different kind of opinions from different kind of person, right? You listen to them, and somehow if they are related to your mindset, you also start favoring them. Sometimes it happens that you are not in a favor of certain viewpoint, but a person explains it in such an effective manner, in such an impressive manner, that you start favoring that viewpoint, and now you have changed your own attitude. Maybe it was a negative attitude earlier, but now listening or now imitating someone in your reference group, you have changed that attitude from negative to positive, right? So these are reference groups. Their influence is noticeable, especially during the beginning of adolescence, at which time it is important for the individual to feel that she or he belongs to a group. We have talked about the self-identity also, right? Erickson has introduced the self-identity crisis. So it is related how you people develop identity of yourself by associating with these kind of groups. Therefore, the role of reference groups in attitude formation may also be a case of learning through reward and punishment. Now, what does this mean? Very important line. In reference group, what you people are doing, you people are minutely observing the behavior, the activities of others, right? If they are getting reward, they are appreciated by appreciated for those activities. You people also, likely to do or behave in the same manner. But if certain people are doing certain behavior and they got punishment for it, so you people also start developing a dislike for it, and you also don't repeat that in future, right? So this is how you are learning by reward and punishment process in our reference group. The next is personal experiences. Many attitudes are formed not in the family environment or through reference groups, but through direct personal experiences, which bring about a drastic change in our attitude towards people and our own life. See, when we talked about the factors which influenced attitude formation, we have talked about two things. First of all, there is family and school environment. Second is reference groups. What is the third one? Sometimes there are your personal experiences. You directly experience that thing. You personally experience that thing, and all of a sudden your attitude is changed. Maybe from negative to positive, or from positive to negative, right? So your attitude has changed in some manner after experiencing that particular thing personally and directly. Let us understand this with this example. Here is a real life example. A driver in the army went through a personal experience that transformed his life. On one mission, he narrowly escaped death, although all his companions got killed. We're talking about a real life example here, and there was a driver in the army who went through a personal experience which all of a sudden transformed his full life. During one mission, what happened? He just narrowly escaped from death, and all his companions got killed. Wondering about the purpose of his own life. Now, what happened when he survived, when he escaped from death? He realized the thing that what is the purpose of my life? We talk about that existential anxiety, yes, in the logotherapy. So the same thing, we start developing that anxiety, that what is the purpose of my existence, why I have been saved. My all companions got killed, but why I have been saved by God? So there must be some target, there must be some motto, there must be some different goal in my life. So he gave up his job in the army, he left army and returned to his native village in Maharashtra. He belonged to some village in Maharashtra, so he just returned there and worked actively as a community leader. There he acquired the position of a leader in his community, and he worked a lot for his community. May be related to all the developmental tasks, education, sanitary, and job opportunities. So he started working for his community people, for the villagers, for the poor people, which themselves cannot raise their voice, which are not educated. So a purely personal experience, this individual evolved a strong positive attitude towards community upliftment. Earlier, he was just a driver in the army. There was no goal. He was simply doing his job. And later on, a personal experience has transformed his job. And now he has started working for community upliftment. his efforts completely changed the face of his village. And eventually, he has done a lot of work that has really transformed the image, the scene of his village. Fine. So this is about the personal experiences. There are 1 to 2 factors still left. We're going to do in the next class. Ma'am, please stop with the recording.